Hey guys, it's Drea. Today I have for you a foundation wear test. It's been a long time since I've done a foundation wear test on my channel. If you are new here, welcome. I have really oily skin, like oily everywhere skin. Throughout the day I get very oily. I usually have to blot and repowder a couple times, and so I really need foundations that can stand up to that. During the VIB sale I came across this new foundation. It is the Influencer Foundation from Sunday Riley. I was really shocked to see this actually because Sunday Riley to me is just like a skincare brand. I don't think they've done any other makeup that I know of. And I was like, oh, they're making makeup now. So I picked it up based on the claims. Really, this claims to be a foundation for oily skin people. It even said right on the display in Sephora, this is, you know, for oily skin. So right on the box it says natural looking, long wear, lightweight feel, satin matte finish, and medium to full coverage. I feel like all of those things are things that I personally want in a foundation, so I was really excited. There are 20 shades online. There were only like 5 shades in my store, but there were 20 shades online. This is 1.08 fluid ounces and $54 Canadian. I won't read everything that it says online, but it does say great for all skin types. The influencer controls oil but never dehydrates your skin for a fresh, healthy looking, shine-free complexion. And it says pretty much the same thing on the box too. So I'm going to put this on. I did try it once before just as a first impression. I wanted this video to be more of a review slash wear test so you could see how it wears throughout the day, the entire day. I am going to work today for a long 8.5-hour shift, so this better hold up. As always when I do a foundation wear test, I'm using Holy Grail primers, powders, things that I know exactly how they perform so that the only variable here is the foundation. And I'm going to do this side of my face with a brush, we'll do this side with a beauty blender, and then we'll see how it looks. So it went on really smoothly on the brush side. I find sometimes with foundations a lot of brushes will be streaky or it'll take a really long time to blend in. This wasn't. It was really quick. It blended really beautifully. The beauty blender side I feel like has the exact same level of coverage as this side. So that's another thing. Sometimes with the beauty blender I feel like you're taking away a lot of coverage. The shade I picked up is number 140, which I think is a really good match to me. 140 says that it is light with neutral undertones. So usually I go for the neutral leaning foundation, and I feel like this matched me really well. So I'm just going to do the rest of my makeup right now and I will be right back. Okay, I don't have my phone up here, but I have my iPad. You can see it's 20 after 9. When I put this on, it was about half an hour ago, and since then I've been doing my makeup, obviously. So here's the final look. I feel like this foundation is super like natural looking, yet it is covering up anything I want covered up. Like I have a few like spider veins in my face here. You know, there's freckles on my nose, and that's usually how I measure the coverage level. And I would definitely say this is like medium to full. So exactly what they say it is. And everything else that they say, like it feels really good on the skin. I could see how this is a skincare brand's foundation because I don't feel like it's sucked up any, you know, I feel like my face feels like hydrated, but it's not oily, you know. But again, I've only just put this on. So I am going to check in with you at the end of the day. We will see how it holds up. Just FYI how I do it. I do not believe that leaving a foundation the entire day, like 12 hours on its own without touching up, is a good measure of how it works. I feel like if you are an oily skin person, you know how to work with foundations, and that includes blotting and repowdering if you need to throughout the day. But if I do that, I will let you know how many times, and we're just going to see how well this holds up. So I will see you at the end of the day. Alright, so it's 8:17. I am back, finished work, came home, made dinner. So it has now been a little over 11 hours since I've had this on. For me, that is typical. I think for a lot of us who work like a full day, that's a typical amount of time you're going to have your makeup on from morning till you take it off. And so I feel like this is a very true test of how long somebody would wear this foundation. I have some notes for you because I wanted to remember everything. Okay, starting with this. Let's talk about the areas where it did wear off. So I noticed a lot of foundation gone from around this area of my nose and here. Now I will say I'm sick, so I did blow my nose a couple times today. and it definitely took some foundation off. So I'm not going to deduct a ton of points for that, but I did notice even like around this area here where I have a lot of oiliness from pores, and over here I definitely noticed foundation gone, and also on my chin, another area where I have a lot of oiliness, and also kind of right in the middle of my forehead, which also resulted in kind of that weird phenomenon where it's like kind of patchy dots now in the areas where it didn't wear away. So I've got like a lot of foundation gone from here, but then it's kind of like all dotted along the top, which I do not like that. I hate when that happens. That's pretty much the only areas where it really wore off. I am noticing a little bit of breakage around there. I never repowdered, but I did blot my face at least 3 times today. I noticed that typically for me, I will start seeing a lot of oil breakthrough at around 3 hours after I put on foundation. And that's exactly what happened with this one. So it did not keep me matte longer than any other foundation. I didn't feel any difference throughout the day in terms of how my skin felt. So like I didn't notice that my skin felt more hydrated or better or fresher or anything like that. It felt fairly normal up until probably about an hour before I left work, when I was starting to feel kind of that tired skin feeling, if you know what I mean, like when you've been wearing makeup for a long time and you just kind of want to take it off. That's kind of how my skin was feeling. That was about 2 hours ago now, and now I'm definitely feeling that way where I just want to wash my face. It's not feeling great. I don't feel like super hydrated and fresh, so I don't feel like that the foundation skin ingredients are making me feel any different. For the claims of, you know, how great of a skin foundation this is, I didn't really feel any differently at all today. Some positives: it never oxidized. It's still, I think in the areas where it stayed, like definitely you could see on my cheeks, I think it looks really beautiful still. In all the areas where it didn't wear off, it still looks good. But you know, it did wear off in a few areas. I think if I was wearing this for like, well, it definitely lasted really well, probably up until about 4-ish, 4 o'clock. So that was about 7 hours. So if you have a shorter day, I could see this being fine. Or if you don't have skin that is as oily as mine, it might work better for you. But overall, it was not super mattifying. I would definitely not call this a favorite. I don't even think I'm going to keep it in my collection. I bought this during the VIB sale, so I did buy like the full size foundation, but I knew I was going to test it out and I didn't want to necessarily use this and return it if I didn't like it. So I have been using this little sample, which they gave me of the same color and everything. But I think I'm just going to return this. I'm not a huge fan of this, and I don't think it's really worth the price tag overall. I think there's a lot of other foundations, high-end and drugstore, that are better than this. And I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but just a couple right off the top of my head that stand out to me. The Smashbox Studio Skin Hydrating Foundation. Even though this says hydrating in the name, it is really good for oily skin. This foundation is probably where did I just put it? These two are probably the most comparable in terms of the way they feel, the way they look on the skin, the natural look they give you, and just the finish and everything, except this always lasts throughout the entire day for me. So because these are similarly priced, I think this one might be even slightly cheaper, only by about $4 or so, something like that. But still, I would definitely say try this one out before you pick up this one, because this always lasts throughout the day for me. I really love it. Another really good mattifying or oil controlling foundation, I would say, is the Clinique Stay Matte Oil Free Makeup. This definitely is a very skin perfecting looking foundation, and it definitely keeps you matte. I would say this is just maybe a little bit more full coverage, not quite as natural skin looking though. And then a really good drugstore foundation if you're oily is the Revlon Insta Filter foundation. This also lasts really, really well throughout the day, but this is also very full coverage, not as natural looking. So the most comparable, like I said, would be the Smashbox, but overall, I'm not the biggest fan of the Sunday Riley foundation. I think it's good, but not great, and probably better for people who are combo too oily than straight up oily. So Unfortunately for all my oily skin friends, this is probably not the holy grail that we've been looking for, but it is good. So if you want to test it out, I would say if you can, try to get a sample from Sephora like I did first before you spend all your money, and just give it a test for a couple days, because if it was one of my only foundations and I didn't have a YouTube channel that I tested a ton of foundations out on, like I have a ton of foundations in my collection. If it was like my only foundation, or I had only 2 or 3, I might keep it and use it up. But because I have found over the years so many other great foundations that work so good, I just can't see myself keeping this and using it enough to get my money's worth. If you've purchased this foundation and you have any thoughts about it, definitely leave them down in the comments below so other people can find out your thoughts as well. But that's it for my review today. So let me know if you have any questions, but thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.